Welcome, wildflowers. It's a joy to see you. Catch these. Catch these. Because this is how reality actually works. We are tapped in, we're tuned in to so much more than we realize, but our thoughts about it completely get in the way. When you imagine something else over there, you are immediately using energy that's yours, energy that's moving through you. It's sort of your spiritual allowance. And you're placing some over there and some here. This is the sort of the root lesson of why it's concerning or not effective to pray as if you want to be rich in the future, because you're generating the idea of rich is over there. And so you're immediately taking part of your allowance and putting it in a separation that you create through your belief. Belief is not just a vague, abstract concept that we inherit from church. Belief is an active force of creation. This is an absent lesson, and it's also the root lesson for a wide range of enhanced reality, deeper love, more passionate existence, and it's the embrace of your true power. Your true power. Here's the radical beginning of this. You're more powerful than you believe. It's not a trick. It's already true. What if I said, this is how it works. You're a vague little toddler. Forgive me, I'm not insulting you, but I want you to wake up to this. You're a vague little toddler. You're playing around, la-di-da-di-da, picking things up. Your parents put $1,000 in front of you. $1,000. You're a little toddler. You're like, oh, cool. I have some scissors. I'm going to cut that up. Hey, I've got some, I'm going to like, woo, I'm going to draw on it. Your parents say, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. They take it away. They leave you with $5. What if it's even more? You're sitting there, you're a little toddler, you're playing around, and money just pops out of your heart. every 5 minutes or so, your heart pops out $1. It falls on the floor, and you go, oh, I'm gonna play with that. I'm gonna make a paper airplane. So your parents come along and they say, thank you. And they stack it away. But here's the thing. Your spiritual parents keep it for you. They care about you a lot. They keep your power for you. But they do have a lot of discernment about when you're ready to be present with it. Now, this is the active relationship to your Kundalini. Truly. In your root is essentially your bank account. And in order to keep you from knowing that it exists, you have to be strapped in. You have to be locked down to a presence that doesn't know how powerful you are. You have to believe that you aren't powerful in order to not be more powerful. It's an intricate existence. We had to create an entire nexus, a network of thoughts that allow you to conceive of yourself as not very powerful. Because when you believe you're more powerful, you start to access that power. Now, look, this is not just vaguely open-ended. You can't blow up the world because you want to. This is not whatever you believe becomes real. This is a much more substantial range of possibilities exists than you currently embrace. Likely. If you don't access the truth of your power, you have to keep investing in an alternative belief. A belief that says, these are my limits. I'll never be able to do that. I am not good at singing. I am not strong. That statement, those statements get stuck and generate reality. You've heard this, right? I am statements are really powerful. That's why it's no good to say, I am afraid. Never say, I am afraid. The Spanish don't say, I am afraid. They say, yo tengo miedo. I have fear. Have it. Okay, be real. You've got fear? Great. Be real about it. Don't deny it. Have it, but you just have it. It's something you could maybe put down. It's a bad habit to get afraid of things that you don't need to be afraid of. You know what I want you to be afraid of? A little bit, just a little spice of fear. Be afraid that you're giving away your power. And that's what we're talking about here today. Angie, welcome. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. For everyone else who's here, thank you for sharing your time, your spirit, your energy, your faith, your belief in me, in us. What we're creating here is part of something much bigger. We're at the edge of a very new way. I like to consider what it felt like in the 60s when people were creating rock music and it was generating a whole new wave of existence. Now, full disclaimer, I'm not so happy about how that eventually played itself out. And there was an extraordinary sense of empowerment. They knew they were tapped into the future and they gave their lives to it. And that's very much what we're doing here. We are tapping into a wave of the future, which people will pick up on. They are picking up on it. We're talking wave after wave after wave is waiting. Nobody needs to watch another movie about a superhero. Forgive me. I'm not insulting you if these are your interests, but leave it to children. The fact that our culture has been so unable to generate new stories it's shocking to me. It's shocking to me that we're just making the same stories over and over and over again. And it's happening this way because human society has hit a threshold. Western society, largely in the form of America, the British sort of started it, but they got disowned. They were even more brutal than Americans are in a certain way. And inherited this common denominator. Someone very special to me is currently at a conference in Scandinavia. They talk English. English is the common denominator for so many global interactions. We needed one. This is it. But there are limitations to this inheritance, to the inheritance that comes with the English language. It's diverse in an incredible range of ways. We're talking Celts, Anglo-Saxons, Romans, French, Vikings. Like there are so many different cultures and languages that went into creating this. There are good reasons English became what it is, but it's terribly limited as well. First of all, it's limited in its ability to conceive of reality. And it's limited by its lack of appreciation for multidimensional existence and our lives beyond this lifetime. The English inheritance doesn't believe in reincarnation. And there are waves of people who've tried to make it real. There's a guy in the 1500s who was trying to tell everybody that he could communicate with spirits. He wrote a book. It's kind of interesting. Didn't break out. Wave after wave of subcultures have tried to presence the truth in the face of this westernized ignorance. But they haven't won, and they haven't won for a simple reason. When we don't believe in multidimensional, multi-lifetime reality, we're focused. We're focused here. If you believe prematurely in existence beyond this lifetime and in life beyond this planet, you're likely to bail. This is too painful. Your spirit would start to leak immediately into wishing you weren't here. It's so hard to move through the terrifying range of physical pain, emotional pain, and spiritual disconnection. That's what it is to live in a body in this era of humanity. terrifying levels of limitation that induce spiritual, physical, and mental pain. And if you fully believed that there was a better, healthier, more loving way, you'd say, let me out, let me out, let me out. And many do. Some of the most extraordinary spiritual pioneers have gone through terrifying levels of trauma, like me. And in that depth of trauma, you see the other side. And the other side is not like two worlds. The other side is there's a wall. There's an veil, a veil around the earth. Really, this is how it works. There's a veil around the earth, and we have been blocked from seeing through it. And as a result, we're here. We're here. We're fully present here. And it's time to look through the veil. And for some people, this won't work. It's a terrifying choice for the spiritual guidance that leads humanity. But it's built in. It's time. It's time that this boundary starts to fracture and fray. It's time that thin spaces get even thinner so that we can reach through and be more present. And in the process of this transformation, we have to stay here. If we don't stay here, you're still going to have to live out your life. And if you live out your life without resolving your karma, you can't really leave until you do. And so a terrible opportunity is missed if you start to learn too much before you're ready. But again, it's time. These thin spaces are affecting everyone. Now, some people will more successfully hide than others. But I repeat this new analogy I've been using lately. Imagine you've been dancing to a music and you really have liked it. It's worked for you. So you're dancing to the rhythms of the music, but then the music stops. Now you can keep dancing. You can keep dancing and people around you can keep dancing. And so you can watch each other to maintain the rhythm. And maybe you'll start clapping. So you can attempt to replace the rhythms that keep you going and keep going. But there's something powerful happening, that the music has changed. The music has changed. It's not just that the old music has stopped. It's that something new is here, but we don't know how to hear it yet. We don't know how to hear it yet. And I'm here to help you listen. I'm here to help you listen. Sarthik, thank you for being here. I am doing well. I'm quite happy this morning. Bobby, what a great name. Zubiate. I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you for being here. Tom, bless you. Welcome. Tom and I are going to have a conversation tomorrow, which we hope to share with you if and when the time is right. There's a lot to share with you all if and when the time is right. And today I'd like to talk about. I would like to invite you to consider joining our community. It's a school and a temple. It's a church and a hospital. It's all of these things together. And it cannot replace everything else that goes by those names in your life. We're still living in a world that's a bit fractured. But what this is a welcome zone for the new way. It's our job to be not only at peace with the thinning of reality and the embrace of a broader spiritual truth, it's our job to be a conduit for the intense spiritual power and presence that comes to life as we let go of the need to block ourselves from our own power. See, we are the little toddlers who are getting a bit more adept at being in a body and being in a human mind. And as we do gain skill at living here and being present and finding joy in the interactions and limitations of being human, we need to embrace the power that we're just letting slip through our fingers. Our spiritual parents want to give us power back. We just can't use it to say, let me out of here. It's important because how we pray and how we conceive spends our spiritual essence. And when we spend our spiritual essence to make something, it is just a spark. It's a spark of a greater fire. It's a seed of a greater tree. It is the root of something that will grow into much more. And we have to be careful about what we create. When you allow certain forms of infestations of non-native species, they're going to kill everything else that grows. They're going to kill everything you want to grow and everything you already rely upon. Certain forms of beliefs start to destroy the rest of your presence. And that's what happens when people get some insight into a broader reality, but misapply it. We are here together in the Wildflower Sanctuary to be present in helping each other stay true to what we know to be true within ourselves. Because each of you has your own unique access to the spiritual presence of the divine that's awakening on the earth. Each of you has your own unique gifts to share through this presence, but none of us are at our full selves by ourselves. I know many of you are accustomed to living within communities full of people who you like and love, and yet you can't share your inner experience. Not only do they not understand, they might express pretty severe, even silent resistance to you being yourself. And that happens repeatedly in community after community because everyone has a deep realization that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And everyone has unique constraints around how much they can accept now or even soon. A lot of people simply can't let it be real yet. It forces too much to the surface. The simple consequence of allowing spiritual power to flow through you is that everything you've been hiding from within yourself has to be faced. Everything that's been latent within you has to be on the table. And there are certain things that once you get it right in your consciousness, you can't make yourself forget it. And a lot of people still need to be in the silence, in the numbness. And it's not for each of us to force them to change. In fact, I have rarely ever seen anything but disaster when people are pushed from a place of need. Now, I know what it feels like to wake up early. Like I started shockingly clear realizations 25 years ago at a time when nobody I knew had any degree of appreciation or awareness of what I was going through. And it got medicalized. Things that pass the thresholds of what society is able to accept get isolated behind a wall. And this happens for so many folks still and will continue to for decades. We are creating together a space where we can be ourselves. Now, this depends entirely on owning yourself. And so I want to be real with you. The power within yourself is already yours. It's already yours. It's not something to acquire. It's not something to earn. It's not something to prove. But you do need to earn and prove your ability to channel it. I know this might be shocking and even annoying, but this isn't an argument spiritually. Some of it is purely like fluid dynamics. If a river doesn't have banks, it becomes a swamp. Now, there's an incredible story of what's happened in Yosemite lately. Yellowstone. Wolves were reintroduced. When wolves were reintroduced, they started to hunt the deer. The deer would often go down to drink water in particular places. And when the deer ate where they drank, they were killing all the tree saplings. When they killed the tree saplings, there were no more roots that would keep the soil together. And when there were no more trees, the beavers couldn't make dams. And so there weren't ponds. And what they got was a swamp. When the wolves started to hunt the deer would drink quickly and leave. They would find smaller streams to drink from, but they would no longer eat the saplings in the bigger riverbeds. And swamplands became rivers again. There is a fierceness that you need in order to prevent reality from just rolling over you. And it's likely that many of you have decided to cut the wolf out of your system. That's not me. That's vicious. That's not kind. And it's understandable. I did this for a very long time. I had zero desire to believe that I had to embody this kind of power because I viewed this kind of power as fundamentally abusive. And the reality is, you won't survive in this world, on this planet, unless you have a certain depth of fierceness that allows you to protect what you create. And it doesn't have to be eternally violent or volatile or even competitive. You just have to keep the bunny rabbits and the deers from eating your saplings. You can chase them away. Perhaps you'll find a different food source, but you can't allow your reality to be rolled over by the sheer momentum of what will grow within your psyche if you don't protect it. Now, this is practical. You got to be a lot tougher than you might think. And to do this, you have to transcend the modern American medical model and the modern Eastern mastery model. You've got to transcend both of these models at once. Now, the Eastern traditions have a lot of the medicine that we need in the form through yogic and Buddhist teachers, many others, but there's a certain commonality in what they believe, starting with the fact that they have a natural ability to remain aware of multidimensional, multi-lifetime existence. It's normal. They think this way. Now, in certain respects, they suffer from thinking this way because they don't have the kind of focus that Western traditions that just block it all out have had. That's why the Western traditions were the colonizers. They refused to believe in karma, so they did awful things. But as a result, there's a presence here that's able to say, we're making this. We're going to make this, and we're not going to second guess it anymore. We're going to do it. And you need that strength in addition to going very deep into remembering yourself in other lifetimes. Because as the veils fray, you start to feel the presence of the personality that you've been in another life. Multiple personalities that you've been in other lifetimes. Now, there's a connection. You weren't an entirely different being, but you did try on entirely different approaches to living here. And when you did, you may well have embodied a wolf-like existence. You may well have embodied a hedonistic type existence. You may well have embodied a monk. And you need to be able to access what it felt like to be all these different ways and still feel sane. In order to do these things together, you will also have to resist the urge to medicalize what you're going through. Look, there are severe consequences to the physical body when you start to mentally and emotionally change a lot. If you stay present with certain mental and emotional frameworks, you start to feel an entirely different subpersonality within yourself. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect your vibration. And when it affects your vibration, it'll affect your chemistry. Now, look, unaddressed, this looks like manic depression. This looks like habitual anxiety. This looks like agoraphobia. This looks like all sorts of different patterns, depending on how you end up coping with it. Now, I'm not disregarding the understandings people have of these patterns. These patterns are real and people are suffering. However, to understand and appreciate where they start, you can't turn yourself over to someone else. That's the baseline. You can't say, fix me. You're not a machine. You're not a machine. And that act of saying, fix me, is doing exactly what we began this recording with. You're imagining power over there, and you're imagining a separation in between you and that power. The groundwork, the foundation of your understanding of the relationship is ruining you. You can't do that. You can't do that. You immediately lose too much power, and you need that power to channel everything that's happening in you. You're losing the integrity of your riverbanks when you start just looking around saying, who knows how to fix me? And it's terrifying to take responsibility for this, but it's the only way that will work. If you wait for me, if you staple gunned yourself to a post near my house, I don't even know what analogy I'm going with now. If you were with me all the time and you asked me what to do every time you had a question, it wouldn't work. You know much more about yourself than I do. Now, I can tune in and read signals that you're giving off in your spirit that you're ignoring. But no matter how often you come to me to do that for you, I might be missing something. You have access to far more information about yourself than I do. I can teach you how to understand yourself. I can teach you how to read yourself. I can teach you to look at things that you're avoiding. I can help you stand and even walk and even run. Certainly do some yoga. But I can't be and I won't be your master or your doctor in any of the classic ways you might understand it. The look aside. I'm here to say you got to do these. And it takes a depth of power and integrity and passion for life that you got to feel and you got to find and you got to find again when you lose it. You have to want this. You have to want this so much that you can awaken your spiritual awareness and know full well that there are many, many ways of being where there is nothing close to all this suffering. The kinds of suffering that we put up with here on earth, poof. But there's a reason you came here. There are several reasons you came here. And I'm here to help you stay with this decision. I am here to help you stay with this decision. Many of us are. We are present in a way that reminds you that the beauty and uniqueness of this experience and the passion and the power and the love that are already birthing incomparable. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. I want to help you believe in a world not as far off as you might think, where the rivers are clean again, where the trees sing, where you can talk to the clouds and they'll give you a good sense of when they might be willing to rain, and you could convince them to rain a little sooner because they know it'll make you smile and your smile will make them smile. I want to help you believe in a world where the material plane is far more fluid and dynamic and alive than you might think. I want to help you believe in yourself as needed in this new way. I want to help you believe in yourself as an agent of change in your community so that you can stay strong and true with the wild flow that is already waking up inside you. You can presence it just through your breath. Walk through your hometown, walk through every experience you have, carrying the wild flowing activation, a fire of the earth, a spiritual presence that wants to live through you. You know this is already here. You know this is already happening. We are here to help you stay true to it, to help you make it even more real. And it takes work. It takes more work than you might want, but it's the best kind of work on the planet. It's the most joyful work you can imagine, to directly face the things that are overwhelming, harassing. There is an incredible depth of possibility just brimming, just budding, brewing right at the edge of your consciousness, perhaps. We're here to help you believe in it. Anthony, thank you for being here. You all you're my greatest hope. I have to tell you, the difference between knowing that you have a safe space and fearing the people you love is incomparable. I can't tell you a fraction I can only tell you a fraction of the stories I've lived through. I've lived in 50 homes for a significant period of time in this life. 50 homes where I thought I might stay longer than I did. 50 homes where I imagined into a future where I was. And in most of those circumstances, I was surrounded by people who I had to learn to witness as they were. I was a very optimistic person when I was younger. Still am in tons of ways, though a much wiser version. In my optimism, I would keep trying to share the love that I most wanted. And again, I found that people would have strong reactions that were essentially indicating, hey, I can't do that. I can't go there. Now, I had a deep neediness that I didn't know how to acknowledge. I was lonely. I was waking up in a way that was absolutely extraordinary. And it was the same cycle again and again and again. I would step into it. It was so cool. It was like, are you kidding me? This is real? Just learning to feel energy in my heart was the most astonishing experience. Day after day, I'm like, is this still working? This is amazing. I can still feel that connection through exactly the experiences I have right now. And to trust now that 25 years ago, I was terrified of this process and utterly enthralled with it. To wake up in a way that says, everything I've known is not nearly as cool as what's coming to life in me. To be able to embrace that and then turn around and find people who care, are interested, are excited, are empowered. This is what we need. And let's keep it real. In 50 years, this will be just utterly normal. Plenty of children will be actively raised to appreciate all of these themes. They'll be raised to breathe into their heart when they're frustrated. I'm raising my children this way, and it's working well. But the act of bringing ourselves from one culture into another is messy. It's never been pretty. Ecosystems are dying right now. Huge swaths of Canada have been on fire. And that is a sign of transformation. Those forests are burning because the forests that regrow in their place will not be evergreen forests. They will be oak and maple and spruce. Some spruce mixed in. The way the world changes is not one for one. It doesn't go blah, blah. There's destruction in between. Shiva is the god of destruction. Yoga is the art of presencing a new way, even though it knocks down the old one. And you're doing this because you have to, because you're protecting a fire within yourself that if you fight this fire, you will remain in misery. And most of you probably fight your fire sometimes. It's hard not to go through extended periods of just wishing you were normal. It's normal to experience this kind of transformation and wish that it would go away sometimes. Because it doesn't feel great to be isolated from everyone else. It doesn't feel great to go to a bar and not get any joy from it. It doesn't feel great to watch a show that used to be exciting and feel nothing. It doesn't feel great to feel overwhelmed by the food at the restaurant that you know came from a shit existence, but everyone else is smiling. They're happy. That's where they want to eat. But I can't eat this stuff. And when you start to say no, it's terrifying to find out that your no goes deeper than you thought. Some people will gladly change with you, and some won't. And you need people with whom you feel safe. And that's why we're building a sanctuary. We're building this space. And the only way it works is when the people involved take full responsibility for ourselves. We have to each take full responsibility for yourself. That starts with me. I cannot count the number of teachers I've had who I felt like were shitting on me. They were shitting on me because teachers are good at something. Otherwise, you wouldn't be with them. Otherwise, you wouldn't agree to learn from them. But in the process of having any kind of authority or respect over other people, you might get their flaws too. A teacher can easily hide behind their strengths and overlook their flaws. And a gigantic part of my training has been to just regularly re-scrutinize myself. Every time there's a hiccup to say, am I missing something? Am I missing something that I need to pay attention to? It's built into the system in a respectful, responsible community. In a respectful, responsible culture, we each regularly reflect on how anomalous, strange situations might be showing us things that we haven't learned to see before, and to not rely on blaming others. This is a radical regard for yourself, and it's the same art that transcends the master and doctor patterns of reality. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a groove doctor. And a groove doctor knows full well that reality is not a machine. I don't get to control everything, replace everything, put it back with another part. Engineering is not a good analogy for the human body. But we live in a medical establishment in the Western world where this is the dominant metaphor. Our body is like a machine. We want to fix it, push it, pull it. It doesn't work well that way. We can affect some things and we mess up other things. And it comes within this dominant strain of, if you go to a doctor and say, fix me, you've lost. You already lost. From the start of the equation, you've lost. Now, this is far, far, far different. Much, much, much different than saying, never ask for help. Many of you are likely too stoic. Many of you are likely, you hide too much. You don't ask for help when you need to, because you're trying to embrace this truth, because you know there's a fundamental level in which you need to retain your power. But there's a difference. There is a deep, profound difference between asking for help from someone who knows how to help you and just giving up. When I ask for help, I have to stay conscious. Is this working? When I ask for help, I have to stay aware. Do I need to change these? You are hiring people to be your counselors. An allopathic medical doctor becomes one person at a table. And so do I. And so does a good therapist. And so does a good herbalist. And so does a good naturalist. And you sit at a table with a shaman and you say, this is what's happening to me. What do you all see? You're in charge. You stay in charge. And you still sit there and you collapse and you cry and you say, I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. If you can't break down, you can't open up. And if you can't open up, you won't connect to the world. And all of this is designed to open you up and connect you to the world more. But you can't afford to let that happen if you just lose yourself. You can't lose yourself. And what that means is you're still here. Your spirit is still generating energy. Your karma is still present. You have to be able to tell the difference between your karma and the world around you. No, it's not. External is not all internal. Don't get lost in false and confusing explanations for these. Some things are happening inside you and some things are not. And you have to be able to tell the difference. This is an art form. There's a reason it's called holistic art. And the reason we're creating a sanctuary space is to design a new culture together that embraces, that receives the incredible power of the new world. Now, there is a beautiful and elegant art to shifting into this that I want you to appreciate. You are welcome, Angie. In an old model, we lived in polarity. So what this does is it creates this disjunction. And the very model says there's something over there and there's something here. And what's over there is not me and this is me. But by its very nature, what you're seeing is also you. If this doesn't make sense at first, just stay with it. If you conceive of an expert over there, you're conceiving of a separation between you and that expert, and you're losing your power in a way that doesn't work. If you conceive of someone who has a specialty in a certain range of awareness and wisdoms, and you hire them to come into your circle and sit with others who also reflect with them on whatever challenge you're looking at, You make the final determination. You do it. Now, in an old world, in a polarized system, what you do is you put a certain range of choices on autopilot. They're just on autopilot. You just let them. I face my fear. I use fear as a warning and I go away from it. When I'm challenged, I will get stronger. When I'm challenged, I will run and hide from the world. These are polarized decision-making processes. And if you identify with one polarity, you lose from the beginning, from the inception of the equation. Now, there's a very classic way this goes wrong. Let's imagine you're going through a difficult time. If you're too mental, maybe you go to a therapist and you talk about it endlessly. You can go to a therapist and talk about the same problems for 5 years in a row. People do it, plenty, and don't make progress. And if you go into your spirit, as I just did, I can move energy right through my third eye. When I move the energy through my third eye, my entire mind frame changed like that. What you just saw me do, and you can replay the video, I just moved energy right through my third eye, flushed it. I could stay present for 5 years with the same thoughts that I just flushed in that moment. You need spirituality. And guess what? You can meditate too much. You can meditate too much. You really can. If you always go into meditation when it's time to think through a challenge, you're not going to make any progress. If you always go into meditation, if you always go into thinking about spiritual extremes, if you're constantly researching the Anunnaki and looking up ancient rituals, when you have relationship issues, you're eating a poor diet, won't make you better. If you over focus on spirituality, it's called spiritual bypassing. It means you're using spirituality to avoid your reality. Just enough, not too much. Physical, same thing. We will look back on this era as utterly absurd. You look at some of these, like the way people work on their body, it's very self-indulgent, to put it most generously. Nobody needs to blast every muscle to the exterior. The fact that we have movies where actors starve themselves to highlight the tone of their six-pack is disgusting. And eventually we will think that's a really stupid idea and it won't be beautiful to us. Our concept of physical beauty it's coming from an idea. And when you aspire to something that's exaggerated to the extreme, self-indulgent, like for what purpose? For what purpose do any of these really strong men who build their muscles actually do any work? Do they really work? Do they lift things? Do they move things? Do they take apart rusty old buildings? Why are you spending 4 hours in the fucking gym when the world needs help? You can overdo your body work and completely ignore your problems. If you train yourself to just go exhaust yourself and go for the serotonin and dopamine releases, like it's a drug. You're blasting yourself to avoid mental, emotional problems. Now, look, it's great. Develop a strength, build it, use it, but turn around and use your strength to face your life. And ultimately, your karma. There's no way to avoid this, because when you look at your problems are layered upon each other. And when you look under one problem, there's another problem. And I can almost guarantee you that the reason you haven't healed some of the things that you know you need to heal is because you don't want to look at what's underneath. Oh, look, it's baggage you like because it's shrouding you from something you're more afraid of. And ultimately, if you keep doing this, it's physics. You keep doing this, it leads you to problems you bore into this lifetime. There's no other way to look at it. It's true. We need communities in which this is normal. We need communities that can hold each other to make sense of this. One of my most profound teachers saved my life, Buddhist therapist. And she welcomed me into an understanding and appreciation of my past lives. Fucking terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Shattered my reality, reframed my existence. There's no way I could have done it without her. None. I broke down repeatedly. You need that too. You need help. You need to be held. And in the era I grew up in, she took years to mention reincarnation to me because our community doesn't accept it. She had to be very worried about the community I live in, very academic. She had to worry about her reputation. She couldn't tell people this is who she is. That's why she trained me. This is what I do. I'm a lighthouse for this force. Quite frankly, it's a difficult calling. It's not easy. It's painful. It's frustrating. You know this guy, Kyrie Irving? He's a great basketball player. He also believes in the flat earth, or at least he did for a while. He got torn apart. Now, look, there are certainly false beliefs in reality. The earth is not flat. I don't know where that one comes from. I don't know how it lasts. But there's a lot of true beliefs that live beyond the pale, beyond the boundaries of what modern Western American culture believes in. A lot of things, a lot of truths that this culture blocks, vilifies, mocks, undermines your reputation, undermines any credibility for anything else you do. And even when you do succeed at being good at other things, you have a permanent stain on you because you believe in things that they don't. We're still living in this. We're still surrounded by these. And we have to come together in order to trust and respect something. It's medicine. It's some of the deepest medicine that is not present, but is present. It's right here. It's right here. But if your mind has a block against it, because you have to stay in tune with other people around you and you know you'll be made fun of or you'll be vilified. People are sick. People are deeply sick. People are medicated. People are medicating themselves because they can't come to terms with the feeling of having multiple personalities living within them. People are deeply suffering because we have not yet learned to integrate Eastern and Western traditions. It is almost this simple. The wisdoms of the East and the wisdoms of the West need to come together. The Eastern traditions used an incredibly powerful hierarchical dominance to preserve stability in the face of the daunting spiritual divine. Truly. Yogis, some of the most intense yogis, whoosh, manifest things in their hands. Just whoosh, it appears. They can fly. I absolutely respect this. I know it to be true. But to maintain stability on the human level of reality, they created tremendous hierarchical structures. Incredible obsequiousness. Like, just do what you're told. Master says this, I do this. Master says this, I do this. Utterly unsuited for American society. Utterly unsuited for what we need. Wild freedom, a flow that's unique to you, a direct connection to the divine, because you are this divine. You're not divine because I make you divine. If you feel more divine when I'm around you, I'm honored. I'm honored to help you make yourself more real. But make no mistake, I have no confusion about this. I didn't do it. Now, maybe sometimes I can relight your pilot light. Let's teach you how to do it. Maybe sometimes I can help you breathe life into what's already there. I didn't give it to you. Maybe sometimes I can keep you going when you falter. Isn't that just what people do when we love each other? I'm a new kind of spiritual teacher. We are new kinds of spiritual teachers, and we're building a community together in order to welcome people who need this already. There are far more people who need this than are getting it. There are far more people who need this than there are communities and circles of folks who know how to help you believe. There is such a deep need. So many people are starting to wake up and experience the edge of their consciousness fracturing, struggling to maintain sanity in the face of the changes, struggling to maintain hope in the face of the fears and the pains, struggling to maintain kindness and care, even as every aspect of your personality wakes up at once. Need help. We need to help each other create a new way. And that's the calling. Because when you dig beneath to find what's beneath your karma, you find an incredible, excruciatingly beautiful divine presence that's just watching us, drawing us, inviting us to truly experience what life can be here. Please participate with us in experiencing and embracing what life can be here. We've got an incredible potential. And you know full well it's your calling to bring it to life. You know full well you want this. You know it. Embrace it, please. Be present through the fears of what that means. I can't count the number of times I started to realize that it was my own fear that was sabotaging me. I was like, oh, I get it. I'm more afraid of the power in this beauty than I am of suffering in the ways I'm suffering. I finally started to get that. It's like, oh, wow. I'm terrified that I'm just going to go unmoored into the future and I won't have any company. That's where my fears were. I was afraid I was just going off into the stratosphere and there would be no place for me. And I'm shocked to find out people really appreciate me these days. It's humbling. I thought I was going into a future where I would be untethered. And in some ways, I'm the most grounded person I know. I don't need to measure that. It's ridiculous, actually. I'm not. But I'm very present here because I do something with this mind-body-spirit connection. You can overdo working on your body. You can do too much yoga, physical yoga practice. You can overdo working on your mind. You can do too much therapeutical talking, addressing with thoughts. You could overdo spiritual work, meditating, pouring yourself into spiritual treatises and texts. It could each of these ways could be used to stay trapped in their own way. We need them all. We need them to work together. You need to have the incredible commitment to yourself to maximize each of these ways and to have the respect for yourself to learn to reflect on yourself and recognize, I'm overdoing this and I'm not doing enough of this. We do this in community. We do this together to say, hey, this is an art form. There's a reason it's called holistic arts. Let go of a sense there's a perfect. Perfect doesn't exist without an abstract fixed standard. This body is far more dynamic than that. There are many ways you can be healthy, but I assure you, if you blast yourself with alcohol, you won't be very healthy. There are many ways you can be healthy, but I assure you, if you eat too much processed food, it'll be hard to be healthy. There are many ways to be healthy, but if you watch garbage television all the time, you're feeding yourself something that gets stuck in your system. There are some things you can learn to transcend, and there are other things you can learn to embrace in the right time, in the correct proportion, in balance. And we're transcending the two. We're transcending polarity. Polarity is very prone to me or that. It's very hard to embrace two. Try standing up. This is funny, by the way. Try standing up a table on two legs. It doesn't stand very well. You need really big feet. You need three. Three is it's very powerful force. Now, humans have two legs. That's why we need to stay so active. That's why we need to stay so adept at being in our body, because there's so many ways to fall down with just two legs. But there's also an incredible potential to move. Because when you know that you only have two physical legs, the best of athletes might not even name it this way, but what you're doing is you're developing stability through other dimensions. You're developing the stability of being in a flow that invites your spirit into your body. The best athletes get in a flow when they win. They get in a flow. This is the wording that's used. It's a spiritual flow. And the support of your spiritual presence, it doesn't just keep you from falling. It helps you dance. And in this dance, you identify beyond the body. This is what we're here for, to integrate mind, body, and spirit in a way that allows you to suffer in any one of those ranges and build strength in the others. And the strength you build in your spirit and your mind help you heal your body. And the strength you build in your body and your mind help you open to your spirit. And the strength you build by inviting all three of these to dance together, something immeasurable, transcends them all. And that's what we're doing in the Wildflower Sanctuary. I'm inviting you now. This is truly the last time we do these. There are levels of participation. When you sign up at 1, you get to keep it from now on. And I'm changing next week. I'm increasing the price to $19.99. Right now it's $9.99. You'll keep that forever, monthly. And when it goes up, we're also going to be adding some more themes. So you're going to be able to receive practice sessions, readings, even guidance and yoga from people. We will be adding regular gathering themes. So reading the temperature of the community and the world herself, gathering to face relationship issues. Tuesday at 10, we'll have a talk, a community round table, record it and share it with the community. There's going to be a lot of unique material. I've been adding a lot of old material that is not present on YouTube, and I've been archiving some old material that has been, and only making it available through the community to simplify the channel and to make a clearer focus. Some knowledge really and truly is for people who are committed to learning it. Some knowledge through no act of, I'm not trying to create an us, them. I'm saying it's honestly not good to try to learn things unless you're going to commit to it. Some knowledge sloppily ingested can really ruin you. And so I'm having a much clearer sense of all of this work belongs behind a shared wall, a shared space, a sense of this is our sanctuary. And here we will address this. Here we will develop knowledge and awareness, looking into certain depths of themes that we're going to keep it simpler on YouTube. Guys, I love you. I can't believe I just went for an hour. You could have told me that it was 10:30. I don't know what just happened. That was kind of cool. Unexpected and cool. Although I did want to get up and do some yoga in the middle, and I did. But the flow is strong. I had an incredible meditation yesterday that, let's just say, I feel personally ready to launch this in the way that we are doing so now. It's more than exciting. It's a calling. It's a wild, wonderful future. I feel like I've already gone around the corner. Hopefully many of you are with me, because it seems to me that you are. And let's see who else shows up. It's a beautiful feeling. I love your presence. I love knowing that this home is already working. I get what I need on a certain basic level to make me a much better person with my friends and family. I can't tell you the difference it's made in my life to have this channel and to have the core group of you who come back repeatedly. It's an either or. More numbers are going to be exciting as hell for all sorts of reasons. Exciting as heaven for all sorts of reasons. But the most crucial piece has been in place for a little while, for like a year. I know I can trust what we create together. And as a result, I am so much more gracious with my friends and family. I used to carry a constant kind of almost battling, like need to assert my reality to them, need to push them. Whenever they showed me a glimmer of interest in spirit or reincarnation, I would be like, grr. And I was blasting past, I could feel their resistance to be like, whoa, whoa, too much. I don't want to do this. But I had too much need within myself. I wanted company and affirmation for the reality I live in. And I have that. Takes about a dozen, and that's what we've had. And it works. It works. 10, 20 people believe together. We've already got it. What we've got can change your life now. And I invite you to consider joining us. And we will join next in a live meditation that is available through the website. The site will be changing next week. I figured out how to do it finally. And yet this week, last time, you can go there, you can click on the meditation, and you'll be welcomed in whether or not you've participated, signed up as a member yet. I do believe that will be changing, however. So come join us. Go to the website, click on community, join the live meditation now, next, 11. Should have started already. And I love you. I love your families in every way I can reach it there. I hope you and your families have a wonderful rest of your day and that you feel exactly what you need to be for the rest of the week. Much love. See you soon. What? Something. This is funny. Something pulled me back. What is it? Somebody have a question? Seriously, has there been a question on your in your awareness that's lingering? Ah, okay. Unfortunately, it wasn't as pleasant as I thought. I got a vision last night of someone watching me. Super not okay. Whatever porousness has been in my field that I let you through, it's not someone I know, incidentally. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to be in my living room. I have to do this periodically. Like the intensity of opening myself this deeply, I attract some strange and interesting people. I've gotten much better at drawing the boundaries. What do I need to do? Oh, it's enough. Cool. So look, you triggered a fear in me. I can't say I know really who you are. You've got to take the effort. You've got to make the effort to communicate with me directly. I need this boundary. So I don't mean directly spiritually. I mean, it's indirect spiritually, right? Use the computer. Please honor my boundaries in this way. Like, I'm telling you, I simply cannot talk to everybody psychically who wants to talk to me. It's too much. And I shouldn't have to explain that frequently. Is that enough? Good. I love you from a distance sometimes.